The fucking back. So look, as always, this podcast is brought to you, my good brother. Where is he? Right here. If you're watching this, I never know where to point. It's right here. My good brother Jonathan Parrilla, man. The man has been supported from day one. This is just me talking to him now, because now it's not the other Jonathan. That's right. That's what I refer to him. The other Jonathan, even though I've known him for 25 years. Jonathan Parrilla is one of my closest friends. He's a supporter on Patreon, which you can find the link down here in the scroll. He is always giving me feedback on what to do, what to say, what to talk about, what works, what doesn't. I always appreciate it, man. He's one of my closest friends. And he actually got me this leather face that you see right here, which then I had the addition of the Hulk. So yeah, man. Look, he's one of my closest friends. My brother Jonathan Parrilla, thank you so much for supporting the show. Now let's get it going. Yo, what are you doing right now?
The big V. Look, man.
All right, man. Let's just jump right into this shit.
I made my wife wake up and drive me there anyway.
You...
Es a major.
Pasar con eso. Pasar con español.
¿Qué pasó, papá? ¿Cómo estás? Any questions?
Now, when you bought that sweater, right? You just go, fuck it. I'm going full Mr. Rogers. You've tuned into the Man Chatter Podcast. So yeah, man, as you can tell, it's just me today. My co-host, Jonathan Vallejo, a.k.a. my little brother, older brother, a.k.a. 5'5", on a good day. His oldest son, Tony, is actually heading off to boot camp in the Air Force. He's going to do some awesome shit with that, man. I haven't seen Tony since he was probably like 5 or 6, maybe 7 years old. When they came down in March, Tony didn't come down with him. He stayed home, so hadn't seen him in a while. Just want to wish you the best of luck, man. You're my nephew. You know what I mean? I've known your dad 25 years. We're like brothers. So next time I see you, you'll probably be old enough to drink. So first rounds on me, man. Good luck, brother. Congratulations. I wish you nothing but the best. So, yeah. So, John's been having a tough time letting his son go, obviously. I remember how hard it was for my mom and my stepdad to see me off, because you don't know when you're going to see them again. You know, they're going to boot camp and all this shit. I remember being, like, tough. Like, wanting to be tough. Like, oh, I'm not going to cry. And the first time I called home, like, 3 weeks later, I bawled. I was on a fucking payphone, because they don't let you use, first of all, cell phones weren't as big then, because it was, like, 2008, 2007. Actually, no, it was after. It was, like, 2000. Fuck, I got out in 2008, 2003. And I called home on a payphone, and I'm bawling, crying. First I'm gonna hear my brother's voice. Try not to crack up now, because I still miss my brother to this day. It's on the flip side now, because he's in the Army and I'm home, and I miss him like crazy with the holidays and all this shit. I miss him every single day. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna be tough when I'm leaving. Yeah. Called home 3 weeks later, cried, just fucking boo-hooed. I'm 18, 19 years old, just missing home like crazy. And it doesn't hit you. And I was telling John this, like, it doesn't really hit you for me until that time you call home. Because then at that point, you're sleep deprived, doing a bunch of shit, like a bunch of information being thrown at you. And you got to figure it all out and decipher it and process it and understand why the fuck you're doing 1,000 push-ups a day or jumping jacks so you throw up and all this shit. And the first time you hear your mom's voice or your little brother's voice or your stepdad's voice or your dad's voice, it breaks you down 100%. So I told him that's when he's gonna notice it, that he's not home anymore. Like, it'll take him a while to do it, but he'll do it. God, my hair is mad long, son. But whatever. So yeah, man. So he's taking care of family duties, being there for his wife, and probably his youngest son is going through it without his older brother there. So I told him, yeah, man, I'm not gonna pressure you and ask you to do a podcast when you got stuff going on at home. He's gonna try to meet up with him tomorrow before his flight. He said he's been crying all weekend. That might have been private information, but I mean, dude, we're men. Fuck it. You're a dad, dude. Be proud of your son. You did a great job raising him. So, yeah, man. So for me this past weekend, I think went to Sam's Club, joined up at Sam's Club, just because I like the prices, and I think buying in bulk is going to make more sense for both of us. I wanted to buy a 30-pound brisket for no reason at all. Like, I don't even have anywhere to put it. It wouldn't even fit in my fridge, I think, or my freezer. But I was like, I just want this huge piece of meat. Pause. That sounded weird as fuck. But yeah. It was cool. Funny story about that. I worked at a rival company when I first got out of the army at BJ's. I worked one night doing overnight stocking. Never again would I do some shit like that. Now, mind you, I've worked at a grocery store and like stocking during the day, like regular hours, 6 to 2, 2 to 10, whatever, 12 to 6, or that weird 12 to 7. But overnight, 11 to 7 is a different animal, man. Like I could tell why people who work overnights have a shorter life. That shit is miserable. I hated every second of it. So I'm looking at all these shows like somebody has to do this shit overnight. Fuck all of this. Like, could you imagine spending 8 hours filling up a toilet paper aisle or dog food or anything, any of that shit? It's miserable. None of that sounds fun. And it wasn't. That's why I only did it for one night. I remember I walked home because I was like, I'm not going to have my mom. I was like right down the road. I didn't have a car yet, or that's a lie. I had my car, hadn't been shipped from Hawaii to Florida. So I am walking home. It's like a half a mile. I'm walking home. I was like, I'm not coming back. I didn't even call. Like, I was like, fuck it. I'll pick up my $40 check in a couple weeks. And that's it. That's it on that, man. I was not doing that shit ever again. So it's weird, like being on the other side, like now being a member of a wholesale corporation and trying to figure out if it's more cost effective to buy stuff like that. If I can really buy stuff for a month, budgeting that out and shit like that. But yeah, man, that's weird, dude. Like talking to John and like knowing that his son is going off to the army, and then like thinking about the fact that him or his son's going off to the Air Force, thinking back to the fact that like 13 years ago, right? 13, 14, no, 17, 18 years ago, I signed up, I enlisted to go to the army. I left home is a weird feeling, dude. Like, that was a lifetime ago. Literally, like 18 years that I left. And it's wild, man. Not to know that my little brother's in it. It's a crazy time, man. It's a crazy fucking time. I tell you what else is a crazy fucking time. The New York Jets. Like, I'm not even, like, you know how I break it down. If you watch the video, I use the images here to my right. I put them in this right. I will never put up a Jets image on this show unless I have one of my best friends here, Danny, come on the show, and that's what we talk about. But man, the Jets are tough. They had one of the worst play. Like, look, you've watched ESPN all day. You've listened to all the takes. It is one of the dumbest play calls I've ever seen. But it's great. It's a great play call if you're playing for Trevor Lawrence. So I'm not going to sit here and break it down. You know what they did. 0 blitz on a Hail Mary play. Left one of the fastest wide receivers in the league. Run basically a fucking streak down the sideline, wide open, untouched, for a touchdown. You know what I mean? Like, you're about to get your first win. But that if you're going to choke, that's how. If you're going to fucking choke, if you're going to tank for Trevor, I guess that's how you do it. Listen, everybody thought the Dolphins were tanking for Tua last year, so it is what it is. But what a fucking horrible play call, man. Goddamn. I didn't even, like, know what happened till, like, my phone blew up. I'm like, the group chat, and then Bleacher Report saying it was the dumbest play call ever. ESPN saying it's dumb. I got to see this shit. And I was like, my God, why in the actual fuck would you do it? Again, but if you're tanking for Trevor, that's what they're going to do. And I got money. I bet $10 in the group chat. I'm not betting anybody else because I don't know y'all motherfuckers. I bet $10 that Adam Gase will be the head coach next year just because the Jets are. It's the only time I'll talk football just because I thought that play call was so crazy. Dolphins won yesterday. Shout out to them. Kansas City won yesterday. Shout out to them. I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan. Been there since Texas Tech. I didn't think he was going to do that shit. I thought it was just like a college thing where motherfuckers throw for 800 yards normally. Now he's doing that shit in the NFL. Not 800 yards, but you know what I'm saying. Side note, I'm back to Tennessee, honey. I got to be up early-ish tomorrow. So I didn't want to do Elijah Craig tonight because, I got to be responsible. Got to work and shit. But yeah, man. Oh, let's get into this next topic. Bam. Schitt's motherfucking Creek. One of my father-in-law first recommended it to my wife and I a couple weeks. I don't know how long ago. If I told you a time, I'd be lying. But then my best friend, Danny, that I was just talking about, who's a Jets fan, and a Giants fan, just a New York fan, period. Motherfucker watches like the Islanders and shit. He goes, yeah, man, you need to watch it. You know what I'm saying? We've been going through our tough time, but it's really helped us. I was like, all right, I'll watch it. Dude, this show is fucking hilarious. Like I've had to pause it, rewind it, and I'm still laughing out loud. Like Daniel Levy basically created the show. He's the son of Eugene Levy. If you don't know who Eugene Levy is, he's the father in American Pie. He's the father in most movies he's ever been in. Right, with the thick ass eyebrows. So I'm a big fan of that already because see the eyebrows. But yeah, man. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll watch it, dude. Like this is one of the most. It's not quite formulaic. It has its moments, right? But it's one of the most interesting takes on being scammed because that's really what it like. I'm on season 2, so I haven't finished it. I'm not gonna give you the whole overview. You know, even though it's been out since like 2014, 2015, just binging it on Netflix now. But it's an honest take on what would happen if you're scammed out of $500 million like they had, and then get transplanted into a totally different world. And it's interesting. It's a lot of honesty in it. There's a lot of obviously humor, right? Like Daniel Levy always looks like he's about to laugh in every scene. He does this thing where like he goes, he's holding a laugh. I don't know if that's his muecas, like his mannerisms that he does, but that shit's hilarious. Dude, it's just a phenomenal show. Like I could tell why I won every award this past season, and it's awesome. Like that, it's a father and son. And I think like a niece or somebody else is involved. And I think there's another Levy involved in the show. It's just like a whole family show. And the fact that it was created by basically a newcomer, like I don't know what Daniel Levy did before, but to make a show like this as original and as funny and as humorous and as also uncomfortable, because there's a lot of scenes that like, because they're not very socially aware and kind of socially awkward because they're not used to being in those type of genuine situations, and the townspeople are also awkward. It's genuine, right? Like it's because that's how I expect them to be. Like these are rich people transplanted into an incredibly poor town. It seems like that the people don't have much going on. It's a very small town, and they're trying to figure it out. And the whole reason why they have this town is because Eugene Levy's character, Johnny Rose, bought it for his son as a prank. So I'm getting ready to watch season 2. And I like the reason why I ended up finally deciding to watch is because Danny told me that it's a sitcom, so it's like only 20 minutes. I was like, oh, okay, I thought it was like an hour. I was like, I don't have 6 seasons, you know what I mean? Like however many hours that is. What is that? That'd be like fucking 100 hours to give a show. Like that's a lot. That's way too much. I could give it like over time, but like as a binge, that's rough, man. Like that's why I haven't gotten into like Supernatural that my brother always recommends, just because it's an hour episode, so it's like 40 to 43 minutes. That's too long. I could watch 2 Schitt Creeks for that, which is just easier. Hence why I'm also watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But Schitt Creek, like I'm probably late to this. Everybody's probably already watched it a couple times over, and they've thought it's great. Listen, I like to take my time with some shit, and this is one that I slow stepped. But I really enjoy, man. It's a great fucking show. Definitely gonna watch more of it tonight. Probably, you know what I mean? Like I'll probably watch like 4 or 5 more episodes while my wife is doing her stuff on the other side of the house. It's nice having wings of the house. Like, wow, that made me sound so Johnny Rose-esque. But like, you know, my wife has her office side, and I have my office side, which is they're basically both bedrooms. I mean, we have a little corner in the bedroom as our office. But it's nice to have that, you know what I mean, our own individual space where we could talk, like I could talk about this, and then go in the living room, watch my hour of Schitt Creek, or play FIFA, which I'm still trying to find the PS5. If you know where to get a PS5, holla at me. themanchatterpodcast@gmail.com. But yeah, man. Dude, it's just a really good show. It's a show, it's a perfect show for 2020. I was watching, I think it was Watch Mojo on YouTube. And they said it's the perfect show for 2020 because it's inspirational and it's lighthearted and it's funny and it kind of gets you through the year. And I could see that. Like it's, you know what I mean? I could see why it's a show that won as many awards as it did. I'm assuming it gets better because it won all the awards in its final season, which is season 6. So I look forward to finishing off the show probably in the next couple weeks. And yeah, man, it's just a really good show. So I'm probably late to it, so I'm not going to say, I recommend it. You've probably already seen it if you're listening to me or watching me on YouTube. But yeah, man, it's really good, dude. For sure, check it out. All right, so something else I checked out. was good old Diego Maradona documentary on HBO Max. Like, look, this is not a political commentary on who he was as a political activist, the people he got involved with, and all that shit. That's not what this is. Everybody knows. Everybody's well aware of his drug use and his fighting off drug habits and hookers and all this other shit. That's well documented. This is just basically about the documentary. I thought it was intense as fuck. I was born in 1984. He was already playing professionally then. He was already well established as one of the best players in the world. I didn't know he got FIFA Player of the Century. Didn't know that was a thing. What he did for Napoli, and seeing the rise and fall of that whole thing in 7 years, was when he got there, and he says it in the doc, right? When he got there, 85,000 people cheered him on. When he left, he was there was nobody at the airport. Nobody cared because of his downfall. But the player that he was, and the way that documentary was, that it wasn't, what I appreciated most about the documentary was that it wasn't just one person talking to a camera, right? It wasn't just, let me tell you the story about how Diego Maradona did this or that. There was more so about the fact that just it showed you the footage, and it just had people talking about it in the voiceover. It talks about his womanizing, his drug addiction. But during all that, he was probably using drugs the entire time, right? Allegedly. But what he did, for Napoli, a team that nobody cared about, and they do the chance that the Juventus fans would do was wash them with fire, fucking Napoli cholera, just calling them dirty, all this wild shit. I had no idea about any of that. It was crazy to me. And then watching in the documentary that he's in Argentina, me and John always talk about this shit. But in Argentina, he was considered a little black kid from the ghetto. Have you seen Diego Maradona? The motherfucker, there's nothing black, there's nothing of color about him. He was just a little bit darker, similar to mine, a little bit lighter than my skin tone. But he just didn't. It was crazy. So, and you hear the Argentinian fans say that he was an embarrassment, that he was classless, the way he behaved himself. He was just a poor kid who got rich that just doesn't know, all this shit. I was my God, dude, they were saying all this. I get it's easy to shit on somebody when they're falling, but the perspective they had on it, and they're using the actual footage of the time of when all these things are happening. It's crazy, and it's interesting, and it's a lot of holy fuck, I can't believe this is what they actually said and this is what happened. Maradona doesn't get destroyed by Italy until he beats Italy in the World Cup in Italy, in Naples, which they should have saw coming, which is something they say in the documentary. And then they destroyed his life because they knew he was doing all this wild shit. He beats Italy in penalties. Because he scored a goal, right? In the penalties and the PKs, they chose to destroy his life. It's wild shit, bro. Because they loved him when he was winning, even though they hated Napoli, right? Like I said, every fan, and he won five Scudettos, which is the Italian league title. He made a team that was irrelevant, incredibly relevant, and he wanted to leave, but they didn't let him leave. And it all turned, and it got ugly very fast. You see fans jumping on the field and fights happening in the final when they're playing West Germany and they lost. You hear the fans booing and whistling at the national anthem for Argentina. It's just fucking crazy, man. It's just absolutely bananas. Absolutely bananas. It was one of the best documentaries I've seen. Just looking at it, again, not in a political thing. We know he has a Che Guevara tattoo, which he showed in the documentary. He was a communist and all this shit, and took pictures with bad political figures. But this, just watching it as a football fan, it was fucking crazy. It was crazy. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was dude, some of the fouls on the field. Some of the fouls on the field were hard to believe that actually happened with no calls. Guys getting fucking elbowed in the head. It's wild, bro. It's fucking wild. Absolutely wild. So if you haven't seen the Diego Maradona documentary, I for sure recommend it, man. It's interesting. There's another documentary on Netflix that I want to watch. about Maradona in Mexico, where he takes over the Sinaloa Football Club, which Sinaloa, if you watch Narcos, was part of the Narcos movement shit. So I don't know. It's wild, bro. It's wild. But yeah, man. Look, as always, this one's a nice and short one. You know, it's try to keep it running, try to keep it smooth. Give you 20-minute podcast, and we keep it kicking. Yeah, man. I got a new little update with me. I got a new hard drive. I'm able to back up all my shit. That was a point. I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do with that. But yeah, listen. I know these are crazy times. I try my best to stay away from the political punditry or shit talking that I did at the beginning of these episodes, right? Hundreds of episodes ago, and I'm gonna try and continue to do that, right? Because what you know what I mean? Like, me ranting is only good for me. I could rant and scream to the wall, and it gets the same effect, and I'll let it all out. So we're gonna try and continue to stay away from that. We'll talk about it from time to time when it's like some crazy happens, but for the most part, this podcast is gonna be light, funny. You know what I mean? Like what I'm watching on TV, what's going on with Jonathan, my obsession with smokers, which I still haven't bought one, and I'm still looking, trying to figure out if I should spend the money on a Traeger or see what's going on with Z Grills. So if you guys have any ideas, any opinions, please let me know. Again, the email is themancheddarpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening to it, if you're watching, all my info is on the bottom here. As always, you can support the show on Patreon, manchatter.com/Patreon. Got 3 tiers for you if you appreciate the content. But yeah, man, dude, I'm like seriously obsessed with smokers. Like, I've looked at barbecue, and I've looked at probably 20 different like barbecue gloves, which are just like, imagine the gloves that people wear when they're like grabbing something cold. That's kind of what they are, like clothy material with like a little rubber heat resistant shit on the front. And I'm trying to figure out which ones work. Because if I buy them online, then I got to be careful that they fit my hands, because I have fucking massive hands. And just got to figure it all out, man. But till next time, guys, we'll catch you up on Wednesday. We'll see if John has collected his spirits up and lifted it up. You know, because again, his oldest son, which will always be his baby boy, regardless. You know, I assume both kids are his baby boys. Left the nest, so we'll see if he's gathered himself and he's able to join us on the show. We could talk some shit, and you know how we do, man. And look, like I said, keep it light, keep it funny. Schitt Creek, Diego Maradona documentary, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and whatever you do to keep yourself going during these crazy times, man, do that. Got your back, man. Got your 6. We out.